Hi, Vít. Thank you for coming.
It's great to be on your show, and I'm very happy.
Great. So this is our first episode of Liberty in Europe, and my name is Demelza, and this is my co-host.
Andreas Kohl.
Oh, nice to see you again.
Um, so I'm actually appointed the Liberland ambassador to Liechtenstein. So Vít and I have met before, and we are very happy to have him here to answer some more questions which might be on your minds about Liberland.
So just to get started, we recently read that you're having an event in Serbia this weekend. We just wanted to know more about it.
Yes, it's going to be a festival, a first really big festival right next to Liberland. We are doing it in cooperation with Bački Monoštor, who actually has the biggest annual festival in this village. And as many as 2,000 people probably will show up. Couple hundred people from Liberland as well, and it's very good to get decent contacts with locals to show them exactly what Liberland is about. Maybe hand out some stickers, T-shirt, and stuff, and also meet again the municipality head of municipalities over in that area. And so far they have been very friendly. For this festival, they bought 100 T-shirts themselves with Liberland and festival logo, and all the employees of the festival will wear this T-shirt, which is great. It's a nice gift from the local people.
That's wonderful.
And again, we've got like 6 world media coming over there to report on this. So I'm very happy on that. And this is also one of the things which I said are crucial for the successful development of Liberland, that we have lots of people coming there from all around the world who will show the interest in inhabiting the country right after it is possible.
I remember you mentioned before that the local communities are kind of friendly with Liberland. They're not really hostile. Is that still true today, that the communities in Serbia and nearby in Croatia are still friendly?
Of course they are. One of the reasons is that we are bringing lots of media, a lot of interest worldwide. They can read about their village in the New York Times. And the other thing is that we of course bring a lot of business there as well. So why not be friendly with us? And some of these people, they actually applied for the citizenship. Like from Osijek, 20 people applied. From somewhere around 30 people applied for the citizenship. And many of these guys actually work with the local municipality, or they have some bureaucratic post there, or they are teachers in that area. So they are influential themselves in a degree that can be helpful to Liberland.
Very nice. I think on a related matter, you've also had positive responses from a local judge in Croatia.
Yes.
He was
in Croatia, but he was actually Serbian. That might have been a little bit more helpful in that case. And it was very nice to find out that when I first went to court for crossing the borders from Croatia to Liberland, he actually mentioned that the first thing he mentioned during that court, that his kids already tried to reach Liberland and they were stopped by local police. They were not imprisoned, but they were stopped by them. So he said, we are kind of influential, that even his own kids, already tried to reach Liberland.
That's amazing. So taking a little step back, you've mentioned that 2 of your biggest influences in coming to libertarianism was reading Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard and De Long by Frédéric Bastiat. Now, what actually inspired you to read these books? What was the driving factor for you to be introduced to this literature?
I must admit that from very early stage of my childhood, I felt that if there is something sort of threatening the prosperity of the people, it was the state. It might be I might have been influenced by the simple fact that I've been living part of my life into communism, and then I could see the large change that the free market, sort of free market, brought into the society. And I said, you know, if that could be made in such a short time, what else could be made in actually to make the people and the country more prosperous? What else can we remove in a similar way, like the communist regime? And then I was looking for other different people who would think about it similarly, and I of course came out with these names: Marie Rothbard. First of all, of course, Frédéric Bastiat, who I came across because a friend of mine is publishing this magazine, Laissez-faire, where he mentioned him briefly. So I went and bought all the books that were on the market of this book law, and I still do have 3 pieces left in my bookshelf. This book, which was published in 1990s, and it was not republished yet after the revolution. So I think I will personally endorse a publishing of this book again here in Czech Republic.
Yeah, I was.
So yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
I was just discussing with Andreas, and we were wondering if there's a lot of libertarians in the Czech Republic, or if you were kind of a rarity. Is there?
How big is the libertarian movement in the Czech Republic?
There is a Libertarian Party, which I'm sort of co-founder of, which is 5 years old. It now reaches 3 to 5% in popular vote, which is not too bad compared to other libertarian parties around Europe. And I think it has potential to be a major player in next general election if we do it right. But in a way, Liberland was a way for me how to progress on the liberty issues a little bit faster than with regular political process, because I spent 5 years working for this party in different fields. I ended up doing animated videos, ended up doing promotional videos, which were quite successful in a way. And yes, we've got one member of European Parliament, Peter Mach, actually, who is very hardcore libertarian. He's the original publisher of this Laissez-faire magazine. Mm-hmm. So he's now a member of European Parliament. He's doing a good job there to show people the craziness of some of the laws that European Union is coming up with. And we've got, for example, very strong Mises Institute, as I can see Mises back on your wall. It's young, very young Mises Institute, a lot of active people who are also helping me from the very beginning with this project. And also Students for Liberty are strong in Czech Republic. So it's growing.
So this MEP friend you have, is it the same MEP that you took into Liberland before?
No, it's not. That's a different guy.
Yeah.
Who I consider. We didn't meet much, but we were sort of spiritually close together. But he's with this mainstream European People's Party. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest fraction in European Parliament, so it's very cool that we've got a supporter from there as well. And he's from the same city, but we never met before. You know, we were campaigning against each other in the European Parliament election, but we didn't really met personally before. We only briefly met on some occasions. And then he just showed up and he said, yes, I want to help you with this Liberland project, and I'm going to go into Liberland and see what happens.
Really? Well, so so you brought him to Liberland, and he had a diplomatic passport, but Croatian police detained him anyway, and they actually arrested his assistant, who they kept in jail for a bit longer. Now, what do you think the backlash, the consequences of all of this might be on Croatia? Because, as I understand it, it's a problem with the European Union that they would arrest a diplomat.
Well, there is now talk, and I'm not able to disclose what is following up diplomatically, because it's some internal discussion between Croatia, Czech government, and European Parliament about this incident. And of course, it's bringing not only newspaper attention but also diplomatic attention to this area, which is now Liberland.
Sure. So you think this might be good for Liberland on the long run?
Yeah, I think so. That's why we did the action. And we said, actually, no matter what will be the result, it will still be good for Liberland, because either there will be more talk about it, or we will be able to set up the borders. And that was my main concern. I sent him there because we need to uncover our border stones to be able to measure the land properly from air. to start negotiating about the borders with Croatia. And that was his primary mission. He wasn't able to fulfill it, and so I hope to send there more diplomats in near future for the next festival, actually. So I'm still planning that.
Wonderful. Okay, this might be another question that you can't disclose yet, but during your interview of Tom Woods a few weeks ago, you mentioned that there's a few Serbian politicians that are supporting Liberland, and you mentioned that you might come forward with who those individuals are. Are you thinking about announcing who those people are, or?
Well, first of all, it's very important that I can now announce that Zoran Dragic is the head of the office or future ambassador to Serbia, and he's very influential. He's ex-military intelligence guy who is helping us a lot at the moment, and this is something which we decided to make public. We didn't do press release about it yet. We only mentioned it to a couple of media, but we will do press release probably very soon about this. And he's able to, do all the negotiation necessary with the Serbian authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Great. No, that's really great news for Liberland. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got 6,500 people from Serbia who registered on our website. So we've got a pretty large database of people from Serbia who want to help the project.
Has the Serbian government made any other references to Liberland since the letter that they wrote saying that they wouldn't intervene and that Liberland isn't part of Serbia?
Well, not really, and I think it was a large step forward at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still grateful for this approach from their side. And I don't think we need anything more at the moment from them. We are pushing some other things through as well, but at the moment it is still a great approach that they are taking towards Liberland.
That's right.
Right. So, I mean, just to kind of give us a summary of the current situation in Liberland, how are things going on the ground and in the base camp?
We've got still around 20 people there present all the time. The number is growing. It will grow, I think, by this next festival. There will be many more Czechs, for example, who will stay there for longer. And it's been in development. We've got now 3 houses there that we occupy. We are thinking about renting this office building for a longer time, where people from all around the world could work as internet nomads, or they could work, for example, to start learning or teaching any language. So we want to run this educational center, maybe also things about liberty there in near future. So it doesn't only have this aspect of activism, but it's also about education and getting more involved with the local communities. Maybe we'll start offering English courses for very cheap or for zero money at the very beginning to promote this new educational center that we are going to set up there. And we are very grateful for all the support that Bački Monoštor, the closest village actually to Liberland, is providing through these T-shirts, through the promotion during that festival. And we are looking forward to have 24 nice seats during that festival in front of the podium. And we are looking forward to be able to promote ideas maybe on the stage later on during that event this week.
Very nice.
Yeah. Do you think that Serbia is kind of is there still tension between Serbia and Croatia? Like, is saying that that's not part of Serbia's land, is that kind of part of the ongoing tension between these two countries?
Territorial dispute.
It's, of course, it's a little bit undiplomatic to tell, but of course, Croatian, the Liberlandian Croatian is a little bit more in favor of Serbia than in favor of Croatia in their border dispute. So that's why there is this different position by these two countries. But it's very important to understand that the Liberlandian project will be really beneficial for Croatia economy as well. We calculated that it can bring as much as 1% of GDP if we're able to channel all these investments that were pledged by the people who signed up for the citizenship. One GDP per year, GDP growth, actually, it's an enormous prosperity that this project could bring both to Serbia and Croatia.
I mean, a notable example would be the area surrounding Monaco in France. And Monaco is 3 times smaller than Liberland, yet the whole vicinity of Monaco is a much more prosperous area relatively with the rest of France because of Monaco.
Exactly, and I think doesn't have to be the real vicinity only. It's going to be the whole region, the whole Balkans could profit from having one Monaco there.
That's for sure.
I just wanted to take a quick pause, and I noticed that we're getting some questions in the comments section on the livelibry.me chat. So I just wanted to mention to our guests that we're going to do the questions at the end. So we'll do about 40 minutes with the president, and then we'll address some of the questions in the chat. So I just wanted to mention that for our live viewers.
Right. So another subject I wanted to talk about was the system of merits that the Liberland government is starting. It's going to be, as I understand it, a type of currency which you can earn by doing services for the government of Liberland and for the founding of Liberland. Now, my question was, can you tell us more about the merit system and whether it might be legal tender or whether Liberland might not have legal tender laws at all, whether there will be free competition of currencies?
There will be definitely free competition of currencies, but we needed some sort of internal evaluation mechanism to really see how much energy people put into the project in order to deserve citizenship, and there was no need whatsoever for taking some other currency to that. We just need to give people points for whatever they have done. If they have donated, if they have worked a couple of hours for Liberland, or if they, for example, got Liberland recognized in some of the African countries or something. So this is very important, and we will see how this currency will develop. We will try to make use of all the modern technologies as well as cryptocurrencies to integrate it into this project. And I think for the very beginning, it's important that the merit system is workable only in its basic idea. It's just the evaluation system, how much people bring to the nation. And we might allow people to exchange those merits on stock exchange or something later on. But this is a little bit sound of the future, and I'm looking forward to start testing the merit system this Friday. And my programmers said that the first version will be finished, and we will pick probably 40, 50 people who help the project the most, and we will test these merits and this merit system on their accounts and see what else has to be done to be able to apply it to all 360,000 people who are on the project now.
And then the idea is that if you have a certain amount of merits, will that help you when we can actually settle Liberland? Will that help certain individuals get plots of land, or how will the merits?
Merits will be there to get you citizenship, the proper citizenship.
Okay.
And this is also something important. We don't want people just to claim it and get the citizenship of this most free country in the world. We really want people who put some sort of effort, and there will be a lot of effort needed to finish this project. I mean, I just recently read some memos from American administration, or I got them not directly, indirectly, and there was this an idea that possibly even the building of nuclear power plant on Serbia side of the river will be needed to convince Croatia government to cooperate. But still, it's great that American administration, is doing the analysis for us and finding all these possibilities, how we can make this country come through the fastest possible. And yes, there will be lots of effort needed to get it done. So I don't know if it will be nuclear power plant or what else will be necessary on the way. And so the people who will get as much as 10,000 merits that we said will be the the line for the citizenship, and it will stay the same for very long because merits will be tied to American dollar 1-to-1. As long as American dollar is a stable currency. Maybe if it becomes an unstable currency, we will probably choose Swiss franc or something else.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, so we've talked about free competition of monies. How about free competition of rights enforcement, of police force? You've mentioned to Jeff Berwick on Anarchast that you're an anarcho-capitalist. So how far are you going to take this? Are you going to allow free competition of police?
Yes, I really like the idea of Uber police actually, and it was something we've discussed with the people in Washington when I was there for the meeting. There were people who were already working on the application that you basically, also collect some sort of merits, and then you can do some training as a citizen, and you can become a policeman, and you just click on the application that you're ready to serve, and maybe you put some badge on, and that you can have a really flexible security force. There can be multiple Uber-type police. For example, in Czech Republic, there is not only Uber, there is already Wundercar, who has been supportive to the project. Anyway, they sent one car, they paid for their fuel just because they like the project. And we are discussing with them if they will start this Uber-type service in the Liberlandian area at the moment.
Very nice.
So I think there are many different ways how the private approach to police can be done, and I think we've got technology to let private enterprise in all fields of state at the moment. So we just have to find the best solutions for it.
Yeah, it could also be a crowdfunding. Like you mentioned, you're going to use crowdfunding for a lot of government services, and maybe at first there's not going to be a lot of capital, but capital should flow in once the country's recognized officially. Or is there already capital that's been pledged to the Liberland project?
There has been $9 million pledged as donations for the country, as far as I can see from the applications. And we have been able to fundraise probably $50,000 so far, which is not that much out of the 8 million. But we don't need extreme amounts of capital at the moment. Of course, it would be valuable if we could have a little bit more, and I really need probably some 50,000 more to run the project, and to especially IT. The IT development is most crucial because it helps us to channel the energy of all the volunteers into the project, which we are unable at the moment. There are so many requests to help Liberland in these 80,000 emails, but nobody is able to sort them out and reply to all of these inquiries that were there at the very early stages of the country. So right now we need a really good system which will channel all the energy into proper places. We need to also give merits to people who help the Liberland, and I think we can have the best organization out of the countries by the end of the year. It's funny, we can use the modern technologies to have most organized nation, basically a libertarian nation, worldwide nation on this planet. And this itself, I think, will make sure that Liberland will get recognized.
Wonderful. That's incredible. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that the embassies in the U.S., the U.S. embassy for Liberland, and the embassy in another country. You mentioned that. Oh, and the embassy in Czech. You mentioned Czech Republic. You mentioned that they were already really well organized and efficiently run.
As the France embassy, let's call it future embassy, France future embassy, and I've got all the diplomats that are listening or listening to us. They always jump from the chair when we say embassy. I say future embassy.
Okay.
So American embassy is very well organized. The French is exceptionally well organized. I mean, these guys, I think they're better organized than the embassy of Czech Republic in Paris by now. It's a very well structured group of people, and it's always pleasure when I see their outcomes. Sometimes I consider they might even be better organized than the Liberlandian government itself. But my idea is really to pick the best people out of all embassies to make the Liberland government. So we will always pick the best practice out of these future embassies and implement them for Liberland as well as for the other embassies. And I hope to have this organizational structure very transparent, and so the people, will be able to reach. For example, you are doing a billboard about Liberland. It's going to be in the middle of the Washington. Yes, please. I'm the graphic designer from Uruguay. I will copy your design, and we will also find somebody who will pay for this billboard in the capital of Uruguay. And we can make like worldwide campaigns for any sort of stuff. When we just get the people better organized.
So if the French embassy is so organized, I mean, maybe you cannot reveal anything about this, but have they actually had contact with the French government? Are they getting anywhere with the diplomatic ties?
They are working very hard on it, I can tell you. They just sent me a list of 10 accomplishments which they have made. They have been reaching out to all embassies that are based in Paris, one by one, and they're trying to make the best out of all these contacts, and they're doing it the proper way, because they do have people who know the protocol, who know how the diplomatic papers are done, and we are actually working now with them to get our diplomatic, another roll of diplomatic papers ready, and it's made task actually for tomorrow to get some delegation letters for envoys.
Wonderful. Well,
we're prepared.
Discussing these embassies, we read that Switzerland's actually going to take a vote in October concerning Liberland. Can you tell us?
I hope it's going to be already in September.
Oh, September. Okay.
And we're working on it, so it's well organized by the time. And it's good that you're mentioning that. I have to check some calendar, maybe interferences, because my September is pretty full. I'm traveling all around the world to promote ideas. I'm going to Poland, to Turkey, to Spain. It's going to be crazy time. And I also have to go to Switzerland to make sure that we do some more promotion before the vote actually takes place.
And what are they going to be voting on?
There will be a member of parliament who will put the recognition of Liberland to vote in Switzerland.
Okay. And you need like majority vote? You need a majority rule for it to be recognized?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think the outcome will be of this vote?
No matter how many people will vote in favor, it still will bring a lot of discussion about recognition of Liberland. And I think Switzerland is just the top democracy in the world at the moment. So I hope we win the vote, but it might not be realistic at this stage. But still, it's a great achievement that it's the first nation where this thing is openly discussed in the official political places.
Yeah, Andreas and I live in Liechtenstein, which is very close to Switzerland, and usually the parliament in Liechtenstein tends to copy the parliament in Switzerland.
Right, because of the close ties between them. Actually, the precedent of a vote in Switzerland might bring a vote in Liechtenstein as well.
Yeah, that's of course very interesting. So there will be another country which might be even more in favor of creation of Liberland, and the vote in Switzerland will open doors for more discussion in Liechtenstein, which is great. And I'm very happy to have you guys in Liechtenstein to maybe help organize it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's definitely some really great news that Switzerland will be voting on that in Parliament.
So the last question I had planned for you is actually you've mentioned that on the long run, supposing that Liberland is successful and it's starting to prosper, you're actually planning to step down as president. Now,
there is no place for presidents in the constitution if you have read it. So basically, the post itself will disappear, and I think it's unnecessary to have presidents in the modern countries. We don't need, this ongoing fight between the president and head of the chamber about the foreign policy and stuff. And also, at the moment, of course, I'm enjoying a little bit more than regular powers, and this should disappear right after the political situation is established.
I can definitely agree with that. So what is your plan for the future when you step down as president? Are you going to keep on being in Liberland politics, or do you have an idea for a business?
I just hope to start some even better ideas after that.
Really? That's great.
Is there any other terra nullius in the world that you know of that's not claimed and?
Well, there is this piece, of course, of land which inspired us to do Liberland. It is between Egypt and Sudan. It's 2,000 square kilometers. It's almost 1,000 times larger, or 500 times larger than 300 times larger actually than Liberland.
Wow.
So this piece is claimed now by Jeremy Heaton, and as Jeremy is not talking to me about some outstanding debt that he has, so I might consider, his piece of land also an interesting piece of territory for Liberland in near future. Jeremy is not going to settle this outstanding debt with me. So
nice, and even maybe that could be your next project if Liberland takes off.
Yeah, I think so. That could be but I would consider it as being a part of Liberland project. I was thinking about maybe colonizing a space or something as in the next stage.
Great.
We have seasteading. Next thing we need is space-steading.
So, okay, so I was just romanticizing moving to Liberland, and it kind of reminds me of like when my family moved to America. I'm not really sure what they went through, but I know that I've read stories about when people first homesteaded land in the U.S., and it seems like it was pretty rough the first few decades, just because there was territorial disputes. Like someone would claim a plot of land and then they'd leave for the winter time, they'd come back and there'd be other people living on their land. And I was imagining with Andreas that we'd have to like go to Liberland and build a big wall around our little plot of land, And I was wondering, how do you actually see people settling this country? Like, will it be from...
The USA did go there with tents, and they claimed this island, part of Liberty Island, and we have to discuss that with them a little bit more because as you can read in our law, all the land now belongs to Liberlandian government at the moment, and we've got a regular land registry at e/liberland.org, where everybody can see the parcels. And as far as we know, there are no more private owners of any of the pieces of the land there. We were thinking at the very beginning that there were some remaining private owners, but it's not true, as we found out lately that the Serbian government made sure that before they got rid of this piece of property, they bought all the private pieces in there.
Yeah, because I noticed that the Liberland Settlement Association did homestead that island, and we thought that there was going to be
claim to homestead at least.
Oh, okay. Or yeah, they've claimed to homestead it. So we thought that there was going to be a big rush to homestead land, but as you mentioned, the government owns it. So what would be the appropriate method for acquiring land in Liberland?
Well, of course, we would like to do some sort of sale. It should probably be auctions, piece by piece. And it should also be a way how the Liberlandian government get its finances for next couple of hundred of years. I think the prices could be that high or that interesting at the very beginning that it could really make the government prosper without any even crowdfunding projects. It's possible in this early stage, and or maybe the prices will be this and everybody will be able to afford them and the prices will grow later on. I don't know what the situation with this should be, but I was always afraid to run this anarchy like in states, that people just run over each other's claims all the time and they start shooting each other. So I said, this part of anarchy, let's leave it out. Let's have some central authority which actually registers the claims of the people, and the claims are very transparent. And in Czech Republic we don't have too much trouble. So, for example, with the land ownership, somebody owns it, somebody else owns it. The state registers it. I think that's some role of the state which I find acceptable.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good idea because I was already looking up gun shops in Serbia. So, so
Maybe in the future, land claims might be registered on the blockchain in a completely decentralized manner, which would be, for example, it could be recognized by the local courts, in which case you would not need any authority whatsoever to register land claims.
Will be definitely on the blockchain, but there should be some interface to it.
Oh yeah.
And somebody who would sort of enforce it in a way that, you know, it might be on the blockchain, but there's still somebody has to be in the reality who enforces it.
Right.
And this is the minimum government that says, yes, this is on blockchain. We don't, you know, do anything about it. We can see that this was transferred from here to here. We confirm it, and we make sure that nobody else takes your property.
Totally agree.
And that you, for example, have your private agency which takes care of the security on that piece of land.
very good.
I think that's wonderful. So should we open it up to Q&A?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and ask a few questions, read you a few questions from the audience.
So we had an earlier question from Mike Reed. Mr. Jedlička, how does the possibility of a startup nation like Liberland connect to the ongoing monetary troubles of the euro?
How will the monetary troubles of euro will affect Liberland?
Yes.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
I mean, the great thing about Liberland really is that no matter what happens outside of Liberland, if its state is screw up or something, it always brings more attention to Liberland and more people and more immigrants. So sometimes I make fun of it, and whenever it raises taxes in Czech Republic or does more regulation, I always say publicly that this is great step for the development of Liberland.
Sure.
But in a way, I'm right. You know, we are really moving towards a police state in here. You know, everybody has to have a cash registry to do business here next year, and the taxes will rise again. So I'm making fun of it in the media and telling, you know, thank you for your support to Liberland project by rising taxes by 2%.
Of course. And on a greater level in the European Union, we can imagine that as the monetary system starts to collapse, there'll be more and more interest in land with a free monetary system, with real monetary freedom.
Yeah, and even the merit system might be actually more favorable than euro in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So besides for your event in Serbia this weekend, the 7th through the 9th in August, do you have any other upcoming events where people can get involved?
In 28th, there is again a group of media coming, and there is again planned to do a proper festival. This festival will not be backed by Pački Monoštor or any other local authority, or it might be backed, but it will be run mainly by Liberland itself. We want to make like a really Liberty Festival there, and not only as a media event, but also for people from all around the world to come and enjoy. But we are looking forward to do last preparation steps during this festival next weekend, because we need to have all important contacts for people who know how to run these things in Serbia. So I hope to make an official program during the week after the festival this time, and we will, you know, everybody is again welcome to come over to the area. I hope at least we have enough places for tents this time.
Are you coming from Serbia right now? Are you live from Serbia, or are you in Prague?
I'm in Prague right now, but we're moving to Serbia in 2 days.
Okay, great. It looks like your apartment. You have a guitar in the back, and
it is embassy at the moment. If you put Liberland into Google Maps, the place where I'm right now comes out, as well as, of course, the place between Croatia and Serbia. Very funny when you zoom on Europe and you put Liberland on both.
Oh yeah, we saw that. Well, that's great.
Come out, and it's we've got a very nice view from here and a nice terrace here, so it's a good place to have embassy in this area actually. There are not too many embassies in this particular piece of Prague.
Okay.
But it's quite representative place to run operation like this from here.
That's really great.
Right. So we have another question from Ken Jones-un. Have any permanent buildings been erected in Liberland?
There is one building which was erected 30 years ago, oh, maybe even longer than that, but it was abandoned 30 years ago, so it doesn't belong to anybody. Whoever actually rebuilds this building is the owner of it at the moment. And this was our plan, like 14 days after the establishment of country. I already 2 guys with me to start working on refurbishing that building to make it brand new. Mm-hmm. And we've got these architectural concepts, very nice one, how to turn it into parliament on our website as well. And I took them, and it was exactly at the time when they start kicking out the people. So unfortunately, we didn't get the chance to rebuild that piece of very nice building, actually. I really like the style. And everybody, when they put Liberland into Google Pictures, they can see it right away. It's usually on the first page.
So I think some people have expressed concerns about the possibility of the Danube flooding and maybe limiting construction projects. Do you think that would be a problem at all?
I don't think so. I think it's the similar problem like with mosquitoes. It's on the same level as the Croatia police at the moment. So we've got 1,200 architects with us on this project, and some of these architects are from the best architectural companies in the world, like the owner of Zaha Hadid, Patrick Schumacher. It's the same name like with the racer, but he's about, the company itself is about as famous as Patrick Schumacher, the racer. They, for example, are doing this new Olympic Stadium in Tokyo. If you heard about it, it's a very nice piece of building. And they came to me all the way from London to discuss the future cooperation. I would like to have Patrick as a representative for UK. So I'm looking forward to work with him on the development of this piece of land.
Nice. Seems like you have some very good contacts willing to help out.
Yeah. Let's see.
Do we have any further questions from the audience?
Yeah.
So when we met at Freedom Fest in Vegas, you mentioned to me that the Liberland Settlement Association, they weren't the only people on the ground, that other people were also contributing outside of the Settlement Association. Can you tell us more about that?
We've got a Calypso Tours, which is third largest tourist company. It's run by a Czech guy, and it's run both in Croatia as well as Serbia. And they're trying to be helpful as much as they can. With their presence, they already send their people around to the area to organize some future tourist actions, as well as they want to help with this bigger festival for next time. Then, of course, there is investment group. The Czech guy actually owns a lot of property in both Serbia and Croatia, who was there with us last time. He already has a Croatia and Serbia company, and he also wants to be present. So there is more interest apart from the LSA itself into developing. So they might be the most active. They might do 90% of the activities there on spot, but there are other institutions who are willing to help us get started with on-spot activities.
Can people gain merit points by being on site and helping out with projects in the base camp, or is it only for diplomats who are helping get recognition for Liberland?
No, anything that is helpful to Liberland will get you merits.
Great.
We're trying to make it as transparent as we can, so some people don't get different merits for similar type of service. And it's still in development, but if you are interested, I can put you in this very first stage of test out of this project, and I think there are already lots of things you guys can claim merits for.
We're both.
You can try it, how it works. Okay.
Yeah, we're both very interested, and I mean that's why we came to Liechtenstein. when we moved to Liechtenstein, it was the freest place on earth, and maybe Liberland's going to be a competitor now.
They're going to challenge it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's incredible. We need more countries. We need 7,000 Liechtensteins.
It was so funny when I went to Heritage Foundation and we said, we were invited officially there, and we said we would like to meet the person who made this chart of the freest country in the world, and then we told him that he should, take this business card and note it well because he should put it on the top of the list very soon.
Yeah, well, that's
He was very open about talking to us, so which was nice.
Yeah, that's really interesting because the Heritage Foundation doesn't list Liechtenstein either.
It doesn't.
No,
It doesn't.
they'd never include, and neither does the Fraser Institute Freedom Index. Neither of them include Liechtenstein, although from all of my travels, Liechtenstein is by far the freest. I haven't traveled to Liberland yet. Are there any recent arrests? Are people still getting arrested?
The bad thing about it, or I don't say it's a bad thing. It's really the way how the situation is at the moment. That we are getting a protection of the property by 100 policemen all the time on the spot, making sure nobody goes to this piece of land, which we claimed and which Croatia did not claim. It's very important thing about this fact.
Yes.
So,
I like how you look at the cup like it's half full instead of half empty. That's great.
About that, is your first lady as optimistic as you are?
Miláčku? I have to ask her. She's next door, so I think so. She's quite optimistic about it as well, and I'm trying to spread the optimism around.
Great, that's wonderful.
That's great.
It's contagious. Everyone's excited now. Everyone in the Mises Institute, I just recently left the Mises Institute, and everyone there talked about how great this is for the libertarian movement. Just to have this much exposure and possibly to have a successful libertarian country, it's going to be a great boost for this whole entire movement. It's incredible what you're doing.
So, and it was so funny when I came to Cato Institute and I sat there. I didn't tell that we were coming, and there was this lecture, and one of the topics they discussed was, of course, Liberland, without knowing I was at the place. Yeah. And I'm trying really to slow it down in a sense that we amaze people by the degree of organization which comes out in the next stage. Like right now, there was this protest in front of Berlin Embassy for the free access to Liberland. There were 20 people without me interfering at all with it. I just, maybe we shared their Facebook event once on our Facebook page, but we didn't send emails to all Germans, to all, I don't think, 6,000 or 5,000 Germans that we have on the list to take part of this. But if we are not only going to send email, but we will say, if you're going to take part in this protest, you will get, I don't know, 50 merits or something for it. Then we, create this motivation. People will see that they're on a path to something. And I can assure you that when we have 10,000 people who get citizenship of Liberland, getting on land itself will be no problem at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There is just, so the multitude. The fact that the piece of land is now unclaimed is pretty clear by both of these countries, and it's just the amount of effort that we as a nation show for this piece of land, and there is not too much interest in it from the general Croatia public. Nobody gives a damn about this swamp, as they call it sometimes when they try to ridicule it, But there is a great interest of more than 50,000 people, serious interest to occupy that piece of land. And no Croatian was living there until very recently, or until now. Nobody is inhabiting that land from Croatia. But there are so many people, Liberlandians, who want to inhabit it. And the only thing which will make which will decide at the end how much effort is Croatia, or how much effort is Liberland, the nation, putting into getting this piece of territory.
Yeah, I was thinking about the base camp because there seems to be a lot of really passionate people there that are really supporting Liberland. However, when winter comes, how are these? Is winter going to push a lot of these people out of this region, or are they going to be able to make it through the winter?
The thing is that winter is very mild in this region.
Oh, great.
Not like in Czech Republic. It's sort of Florida-style winter. So it's not that much of a big deal. I mean, even myself, I would probably move over there because I don't like the autumn here in Czech Republic, as it is very muddy. In autumn, in Liberland, you can still enjoy swimming in the Danube River. And I think maybe a couple of days in a year there might be snow, but it's not really an issue.
Okay, wonderful. That's really good news. So like this could go on for months then, as far as the police there and.
We can really focus on education and on working with the local communities instead of on water fun or festivals at that time. And I think this is exactly what should be done, really develop a very nice school for English as well as Liberty Ideas.
Right. You just need to plug in the laptop, otherwise we'll be cut out. I think during Vegas, during the Freedom Fest in Vegas, you unveiled a new Liberland song, which a lot of people teared up at. I think it was a beautiful song. When is it going to be available?
Well, we're video going with it. So I think Dorothea, who is now on spot in Liberland as well, with the team of graphic designers and people who can edit video, are working on it at the moment, and I hope we can hopefully show it on this festival with the video.
That will be great. I think that you can tell me what your opinion on this is. One great way to contribute to the Liberland project for anyone willing who wants to earn merits might be to create media and songs, films about Liberland. I think that could bring a lot of attention to the project.
Of course, and it was so nice to see that they use this song as well as our anthem in both of these reports about Liberland. Both Bloomberg and Euronews use these songs.
It's making false contacts. Right. So, are people still entering Liberland and getting arrested with the LSA? What are they trying to achieve with the arrests?
I'm trying to slow this process down as I could see that from the very beginning. It will not make much of a difference. That we need to either put there so many people that they will not be able to cope with it, or we have to do really good diplomatic steps, or we actually have to do both of these things at the end. I wish the diplomatic way only worked, but probably we'll have to gather as many as 1,000 people to go there at once one day. And we are working on a festival for 100,000 people on the Serbia side of the river for the celebration of the establishment of the country, actually. For 13th of April, we are already discussing with the people who organize similar festivals in Croatia as well as in Serbia, so they could join forces and make a really nice music festival right there. And he would issue a temporary passports to Liberland, so people, could go to this festival, get this temporary passport by buying the ticket or buying the temporary passport, and just jump over there. But I think we can still make a great move forward with Croatia. We've tried to contact them probably 100 times through different means. So far, let's call their response a little bit like a negligence, or how do you call it properly? But we also moved them from the stage that they don't take us seriously and they think it's an internet joke to a stage when they have to reply to so many media now all around the world that they are trying to talk seriously now, at least about the issue. Telling that this is not no man's land. We don't know who owns it, but this is not no man's land, which is also funny. And So I think we are moving forward, and I think maybe the election in Croatia next year will change a lot, and I hope it will be changed for better.
Yeah. Well, this will definitely at least put pressure on other European countries. Even if, I mean, even if this takes a very long time to come into full fruition, this will at least put pressure on other governments who see competition with Liberland.
Yeah.
As capital and talent leaves, say for example, France to come to Liberland, it's going to at least put pressure on their government to maybe stop some of their coercive methods of government.
Hopefully, I hope, we also have to work on PR from the Croatia side of the river, and we are already starting to buy the pieces of land on this side, so we can start building or maybe put up fence to start doing borders, our own borders from Croatia side, to also show that we are serious about this.
Yeah.
And there is so many things that can be done until we actually reach this place. And just the fact that we get this international organization up and running is a value in itself. It might actually be more valuable than this piece of land at the end.
Oh, sure. So I think there are a few people under house arrest in Croatia. What can you tell us about that?
They are the people who refuse to pay the fines for illegal crossing, and then so they end up in house arrest because they couldn't find translators for them as well, and they didn't want to pay the rather high fines at the moment. So when you stay in the prison every day, they subtract 300 kuna, and these guys, they were there for Liberland. This is their mission, so they just stay in the house arrest, and they keep earning 300 kunas actually by every single day that they still in this prison.
That's a great deal.
How much money do you think Croatia has raised so far from all the fines?
I guess it's something like $60,000. It's probably more than we have raised.
Wow.
That is shocking.
Yeah, it is.
I think it was actually more than 100 people that they fined so far. We are keeping track of 37 cases at the moment, but it was more than 100.
Wow.
100 people.
Well,
so,
I'm sure
something between $30,000 to $50,000.
Well, they're all revolutionaries in my mind, and they all deserve a great amount of respect, and so do you. And Andreas and I really appreciate you coming on to the Liberty.me show and discussing Liberland with us today.
We hope to be able to do more for Liberland as time comes. Obviously, my position as future ambassador to Liechtenstein, I'm going to do everything I can. And we might be able to organize a follow-up interview in a few months after things have progressed more.
It's great. It's really great. And it's funny again how the media attention is rising again. I just had before you, I had a 2-hour talk to New York Times fact-check guys who were calling me to make sure that the article which comes out next week or next 10 days in New York Times Magazine is correct. And now I've got again the documentary guys. You could hear their ringing here, so they're behind the doors here. And after that, I've got a meeting of government. Of Liberlandian government, which I'm trying to really make out of the best people that I meet on the road. And I mean, if you had a time, Andreas, please also get in an hour. We are meeting. You can join us. I'm picking up different ambassadors who might have something to say. Some in an hour on Facebook, yes, on Skype.
Great. Okay, I'll be there.
All right, great. Thank you very much again for taking me on the show.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to tell our listeners that we're going to have another interview next week with the president of the Spanish Libertarian Party, Juan Pina. So I hope that all of you will come join us for that discussion next week. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You know, if that could be made in such a short time, what else could be made in actually to make the people and the country more prosperous? What else can we remove in a similar way, like the communist regime? And then I was looking for other different people who would think about it similarly, and I of course came out with these names: Marie Rothbard. First of all, of course, Frédéric Bastiat, who I came across because a friend of mine is publishing this magazine, Laissez-faire, where he mentioned him briefly. So I went and bought all the books that were on the market of this book law, and I still do have 3 pieces left in my bookshelf. This book, which was published in 1990s, and it was not republished yet after the revolution. So I think I will personally endorse a publishing of this book again here in Czech Republic.
Yeah, I was.
So yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
I was just discussing with Andreas, and we were wondering if there's a lot of libertarians in the Czech Republic, or if you were kind of a rarity. Is there?
How big is the libertarian movement in the Czech Republic?
There is a Libertarian Party, which I'm sort of co-founder of, which is 5 years old. It now reaches 3 to 5% in popular vote, which is not too bad compared to other libertarian parties around Europe. And I think it has potential to be a major player in next general election if we do it right.
Hi, Vít. Thank you for coming.
It's great to be on your show, and I'm very happy.
Great. So this is our first episode of Liberty in Europe, and my name is Demelza, and this is my co-host,
Andreas Kohl.
Oh, nice to see you again.
So I'm actually appointed the Liberland ambassador to Liechtenstein. So Vít and I have met before, and we are very happy to have him here to answer some more questions which might be on your minds about Liberland.
So just to get started, we recently read that you're having an event in Serbia this weekend. We just wanted to know more about it.
Yes, it's going to be a festival, a first really big festival right next to Liberland. We are doing it in cooperation with Bački Monoštor, who actually has the biggest annual festival in this village. And as many as 2,000 people probably will show up, a couple hundred people from Liberland as well. And it's very good to get decent contacts with locals to show them exactly what Liberland is about, maybe hand out some stickers, T-shirts, and stuff, and also meet again the municipality, head of municipalities over in that area. And so far they have been very friendly. For this festival they bought 100 T-shirts. Yeah. But anyway, Liberland was a way for me how to progress on the liberty issues a little bit faster than with the regular political process, because I spent 5 years working for this party in different fields. I end up doing animated videos, end up doing promotional videos, which were quite successful in a way. And yes, we've got one member of European Parliament, Peter Mach, actually, who is very hardcore libertarian. He's the original publisher of this Laissez-faire magazine. Mm-hmm. So he's now a member of European Parliament. He's doing a good job there to show people the craziness of some of the laws that European Union is coming up with. And we've got, for example, very strong Mises Institute, as I can see Mises back on your wall. It's young, very young Mises Institute, a lot of active people who are also helping me from the very beginning with this project. And also Students for Liberty are strong in Czech Republic. So it's growing.
So this MEP friend you have, is it the same MEP that you took into Liberland before?
No, it's not. That's a different guy.
Yep.
Who I consider, we didn't meet much, but we were sort of spiritually close together. But he's with this mainstream European People's Party.
Mm-hmm.
it's the biggest fraction in European Parliament, so it's very cool that we've got a supporter from there as well. And he's from the same city, but we never met with themselves, with Liberland and festival logo, and all the employees of the festival will wear this T-shirt, which is great. It's a nice gift from the local people.
That's wonderful.
And again, we've got like 6 world media coming over there to report on this, so I'm very happy on that. And this is also one of the things which I said are crucial for the successful development of Liberland, that we have lots of people coming there from all around the world who will show the interest in inhabiting the country right after it is possible.
I remember you mentioned before that the local communities are kind of friendly with Liberland. They're not really hostile. Is that still true today, that the communities in Serbia and nearby in Croatia are still friendly?
Of course they are. One of the reasons is that we are bringing lots of media, a lot of interest worldwide. They can read about their village in the New York Times. And the other thing is that we of course bring a lot of business there as well. So why not be friendly with us? And some of these people, they actually applied for the citizenship. Like from Osijek, 20 people applied. From somewhere around 30 people applied for the citizenship. And many of these guys actually work with the local municipality, or they have some bureaucratic post there, or they are teachers in that area. So they are influential themselves in a degree that can be helpful to Liberland.
Very nice. I think on a related matter, you've also had positive responses from a local judge in Croatia.
Yes.
Was
he was in Croatia, but he was actually Serbian.
He was.
That might have been a little bit more helpful in that case. And it was very nice to find out that when I first went to court for crossing the borders from Croatia to Liberland, he actually mentioned that the first thing he mentioned during that court, that his kids already tried to reach Liberland and they were stopped by local police. They were not imprisoned, but they were stopped by them. So he said, we are kind of influential, that even his own kids, already tried to reach Liberland.
That's amazing. So taking a little step back, you've mentioned that 2 of your biggest influences in coming to libertarianism was reading Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard and De Long by Frédéric Bastiat. Now, what actually inspired you to read these books? What was the driving factor for you to be introduced to this literature?
I must admit that from very early stage of my childhood, I felt that if there is something sort of threatening the prosperity of the people, it was the state. It might be I might have been influenced by the simple fact that I've been living part of my life into communism, and then I could see the large change that the free market, sort of free market, brought into the society. And I said,